Hello, Bean.
Hello, Binky.
I hear you have a story to tell me.
Okay then, Binky. I do.
Come on, Bean. What is it?
Well, Binky, it's a story that I thought would be a good script for today's trying times.
Ah, I see, Bean.
It starts in Santa Monica, California, Binky. There's a blot who lives on the beach in an ocean view apartment. He loves living there because his friends come over to surf in front all the time. They call him in the morning to look out his window and he tells them what the surf is like that morning. His blots come by and they surf for a couple of hours, then they get breakfast. Or lunch. Then hang out after a good morning of surf.
Was that Bean's flat by the pier?
Yes, it was. As a matter of fact, there were bands that would play free concerts on Friday nights on the pier, so sometimes they would surf during the sunset glass off while listening to the music being played on the pier.
Wow, Bean. That's really brilliant.
Yes, Binky. Yes, it is, and was fun times for all of them. Bin worked in the film business and he was working his way up the ladder at his company. Bin finally achieved the position he wanted after just a few short years. He had a great work style and the people he worked with were just super. Everyone was very nice, Binky. Bin would roll into work about 1 p.m. giving him all morning to surf. He usually had client supervised sessions, either doing programmable moves or special color shifts. You see, Binky. Bin worked his way up to become a colorist for film and television. His clients were great and very easy to work with. Bin loved his job. After all, Binky, who wouldn't?
Wow, Bean. That's fantastic.
Yes, it is, Binky. Bin had his friends come by and they would take trip down to Mexico to surf too. Bin's had a house down in the southern part of Rosarito, Mexico. Bin's house was right on the water where Bin and a bunch of his blots would go down to surf all day, then go have lobster dinners, then go to the disco clubs later at night to meet girls. They all had a fantastic time, Binky.
Ooh, Bean, that sounds superb.
It certainly was, Binky. Bin and his friends went on many trips. Not just Mexico, but they went down to Costa Rica a number of times as well as Hawaii. I can't tell you the fun we had. It would take too long for the old details, Binky, but one more thing about Bean's apartment, Binky. He had rent control and that made his beachfront apartment very affordable as well. His utilities were included, Binky.
Oh, my Bean.
So true, Binky. This also gave Bin the luxury to afford to collect older 60s American muscle cars. Bin had all types from his 1963 convertible Corvette, 1965 fastback Mustang, a convertible Barracuda and many more, Binky.
Ooh, sounds fabulous, Bean.
Yes, and he kept them all in beautiful condition, Binky.
Tell me more, Bean.
Yes, Binky. Then one day Bin bought a really nice Harley Davidson motorcycle, Binky.
Ooh, I like those.
Well, Bin grew up on motorcycles and had many others before this one. Bin even grew up dirt bike riding, Binky. He had a Harley before, but this one was special. It was a beautiful old black Heritage with a Road King front end. He loved that bike. Well, back in 1995 Bin was in an accident with that motorcycle and it was pretty bad, Binky. They weren't sure if he would make it. He was in the hospital for over 1 month. Then he had about a year of physical therapy to follow, but Bin pulled through, Binky.
Eh? I'm so happy to hear that. Is he okay now?
Well, Binky. What do you think? I'm standing in front of you. Right. I'm okay, love.
Thank goodness, Bean.
Thanks, love. So to get back to the story. Bin got better, he went back to work, he was compensated for the accident and he paid off the hospital bills. You see, Binky, the accident was not Bin's fault. So life for Bin went back to normal. He ended up getting his motorcycle repaired and he did ride again.
Good heavens, Bean.
Then about 1 year later Bin decided to buy a house. He had a friend who bought a house in a new neighborhood called Stevenson Ranch. Bin was interested because the homes were new and affordable to him. As well, Bin was still single and didn't need a big home. So that day when he took a trip to visit his buddy Jeff, they both took a drive around the neighborhood looking at all the model homes. They were beautiful, Binky. Bin ended up stumbling on a beautiful 1,500 square foot home that he believed was perfect for him. The home was to be built on a double lot with a city view. It was perfect.
Oh, Bean, that sounds smashing.
It was. He was one of the first on his block to move in. Bin built a pond in his backyard and filled it with quafish. He also built a very big dog run for his 2 Australian shepherds he had at the time. The dog run was 20 feet by 25 feet long. Bin had a double lot and it was just about a 1/4 acre, so he had room to do things.
It sounds lovely, Bean.
Thank you, Binky. It was. Then when Bin moved into his house, he was dating a girl at that time. Bin always had a girlfriend, but the one he moved in with was a very sweet girl, but he gave her the boot. Ends up Bin met someone else before he moved in, but were just friends at the time. This girl was very aggressive for Bin, and Bin is a nice guy and went along with her requests. Bin didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. This girl was a businesswoman who worked for some very shrewd people. She had to do a lot of negotiating for them, as well as keeping them out of jail, because these people had so much money they believed they were above the law. And they were. So after about 6 or 8 months of dating, they get married. It was a beautiful wedding in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai. It was a small gathering of just a few friends and family. Bin loved it because he got to surf every day. But they also had a terrific time together, hiking and exploring the island. One of Bin's good friends didn't seem to like Bin's new wife, and it damaged their relationship as friends. But Bin did "nt want that to happen, but it did. He thought good friends can't be pulled apart no matter what. At least that's how Bin felt.
I'm sorry to hear that, Bean.
Well, Bin's marriage was going good for a while, but Bin was working a late night shift and sometimes getting home at 6 or 8 in the morning. Just when everyone else is leaving to work. They didn't see each other too much during the week, and that was putting a damper on their marriage. But in 2001 they had a beautiful little girl together whom Bin loves very much. The marriage was back to going okay, but didn't last. After 8 years the couple broke up. Very sad, especially for the little girl. The divorce process was a circus of events. She did whatever she can to hurt Bin, but Bin never retaliated and just took all the nonsense that she could dish out. Bin was probably thrown in jail about 4 times, costing him thousands of dollars to straighten out. But Bin never did anything to deserve such treatment. His ex-wife-to-be was just ballistic, and I think she couldn't control herself. I went along with it only because we have a daughter and did not want to have our daughter in any kind of trouble. I know Bin could have retaliated, get her in trouble, but he did not do anything because of the child. Bin's friends and family were getting upset with Bin for not doing anything, but Bin just wanted the whole thing to just end. It took 3 years to finally divorce, and the winners of it all were the attorneys. Just the same, Bin's ex stole all the money out of his savings account. Well over $100,000. The court ordered her to give back half of it, but she claimed the money was spent already. She was supposed to give back half of everything, the new Mercedes, all the furniture and more. Instead she threw all of Bin's collectible in the trash, never to be found again. Bin had big boxes full of cast-iron cars, silver stamp bars, and many other things he collected through the years. Even letters from when Bin was a child from his parents when he was in summer camp. Everything. That was not cool.
Oh my.
I know. Then to top all this bullshit off, Bin gets laid off from his job. Good times.
What did Bin do?
Bin had to sell his house he loved so much to pay all the attorney fees, as well being laid off his job. He could not afford to keep up on the payments as money was begging to run short. Even in bad times, Bin sold his house in 3 weeks because it was a desirable home and property. So Bin moves into a motorhome they had together and lived in a campground for a year or so. Bin was claustrophobic from living in such small encounters. Bin sold the motorhome and bought a bigger one. Then as Bin is searching for work, he decides to try an internet business. That didn't seem to pan out very well, but Bin kept trying and he stuck with it. Bean decided that all the schools in the area needed money for extra school supplies and maintenance, so Bean decided to try fundraising for the schools in the area, and it started to catch on. Bean was getting very busy, especially during the winter months. Bean decided to expand his business and opened up an internet store to carry his products for all the schools he could reach out to and help. This made Bean a very wealthy man. Bean kept very quiet about his venture and did not spend any money. As a matter of fact, Bean still to this day keeps silent about his venture and the money he makes. God forbid his ex-wife finds out. Bean set up a trust for his daughter and has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to charitable causes. Since Bean had some very rough times, it has enlightened him on how many people struggle in today's economy and wants to help, and he gives away most of his earnings and he lives a modest lifestyle. Just the essentials.
Ooh, it's like Bean has become a hero for a lot of folks.
Yes, he is. But sharing this script is the first time this is exposed.
Oh my.
Bean has had a number of generous people in his recent past that he will never forget, and he wants to thank them from the bottom of his heart. The story goes much more into detail and continues from here, Binky, but there are many parts that were left out to make sure I can fit it in with the duration of time allowed for these short films. But this is the story, somewhat in a nutshell, Binky.
Ooh, it's just absolutely brilliant, Bean. I can't wait to see it in action. With all the surfing and motorcycle riding, how fun. You even mentioned you were dirt bike riding in the mountains with your friends. I would love to see that. It's very interesting with your ups and downs, Bean. I hope someone will like your story enough to help you make something of it. Again, I think it's brilliant. Do you have more to tell?
Yes, plenty.